The biggest royal plot twist may be hiding in the most humiliating question of all. After years of telling the world how unbearable Britain was, why are Harry and Meghan reportedly crawling back?
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point.
I'd never in my life heard someone say the N-word. Very different to be a minority but not be treated as a minority right off the bat. Obviously now people are very aware of my race.
For 6 years, the message seemed brutally simple. Britain was supposedly the place where everything went wrong. The royal family was blamed. The British press was blamed. Security became a battlefield. London became emotionally loaded. Interviews became accusations. Documentaries became revelations. Podcasts became platforms. Books became weapons. Lawsuits became headlines. And yet now, after all of that, the very country that was portrayed as almost impossible to live in is suddenly back on the table. Not merely for a brief visit, not simply for a ceremonial appearance. According to the source, Harry and Meghan are reportedly moving back to Britain with the children, with Archie and Liet expected to attend school in the UK. That is not a tiny change of plans. That is a spectacular reversal. And here is where the story becomes almost deliciously uncomfortable. The reports say King Charles has been informed. Prince William has been informed. Princess Catherine has been informed. Suddenly, after years in California, Britain apparently looks different. The same country that was described with so many complaints is now apparently suitable for raising the children. The same place surrounded by arguments over privacy, security, and press attention is suddenly where school arrangements are reportedly being considered. And naturally, one question explodes from the middle of all this: what changed? Because security was not some minor footnote in Harry's story. It became a major legal battle. Harry challenged the decision concerning his security arrangements in the UK, and after losing his Court of Appeal challenge in 2025, he told The Beak that he could not see a world in which he would bring Meghan and the children back to the UK at that point.
I can't see a world in which I would be bringing my wife and children back to the UK at this point.
That statement now hangs over the entire story like an awkward ghost, because apparently that world has now been discovered. Britain too. Zero has arrived. The security update has downloaded. But the important distinction is that Harry's argument concerned the level of protection available to him and his family. It was not necessarily a declaration that Britain was literally the most dangerous place on earth. Still, the timing is extraordinary. If the security arrangement was once considered unacceptable for bringing the family back, why is Britain suddenly being discussed as a place where the children could actually live and attend school? Did the circumstances change? Did Harry change his mind? Did Meghan change her mind? Did the family's priorities change? Or did the California dream simply turn out to be less perfect than the glossy version suggested? And the contradictions do not stop there. Harry's complicated relationship with Britain stretches back much further than the latest security dispute. Reuters reported that in 2008, Harry said he generally did not like England that much. Years later, London was described in deeply personal terms, connected to memories surrounding his mother and the trauma he associated with returning to the city.
For most of my life, I've always felt worried, concerned, a little bit tense and uptight whenever I fly back into the UK, whenever I fly back into London.
For Harry, London was not simply another capital city. It was a trigger, a place tied to painful memories and what he experienced surrounding his mother.
You shouldn't do it, because the British tabloids will destroy your life. And I very naively, I'm American, we don't have that there. What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. I'm not in tabloids. I didn't get it. I really tried to adopt this British sensibility of a stiff upper lip.
Then came Meghan, America, the promise of a completely different existence, freedom, independence, and control over the family's own narrative. The departure was presented as a dramatic break from the old world. The message was unmistakable: they had escaped. Harry and Meghan's Netflix documentary reinforced that image, while the move from Canada to Los Angeles was famously framed as a freedom flight. And Meghan's own comments added another explosive layer to the story. Meghan spoke about race and how she believed people became more aware of her race because of what happened when she went to the UK. That statement became part of a much larger argument about her experience inside Britain. Yet years later, the same country is reportedly being considered as the place where Archie and Liet will attend school. That is where the contradiction becomes almost impossible to ignore. If Britain was so unbearable, why return? If security was so unacceptable, why bring the children? If London was such a painful trigger, why establish a future there? And then comes one of the most awkward pieces of the puzzle, because amid Scobie's 2023 book Endgame was reported to contain a claim that Meghan never wanted to set foot again in this England where she never felt at home. Never again. That was the image. Britain was the place she supposedly wanted behind her. Yet now the reports say she is moving there and her children are reportedly going to school there. Either Meghan has experienced an extraordinary change of heart, or Britain has somehow received the most miraculous rebranding campaign in history. Maybe London installed better lighting. Maybe Buckingham Palace launched a customer loyalty program. Whatever happened, the reversal is impossible to miss. And then there is the school question, which may be the most uncomfortable contradiction of all. In 2022, Meghan spoke to The Cut about what life would supposedly look like if Archie attended school in Britain. The concern was dramatic. She said she would not even be able to handle school pickup and drop off without it becoming a royal photo call, complete with a press pen of around 40 people taking pictures. The fear was presented as a serious reason why life in Britain would be so difficult. Yet here we are in 2026, and Archie is reportedly going to school in Britain, while Libert is reportedly expected to attend school there too. So where are those 40 photographers? Are they behind the bushes, waiting behind a tree? Because when Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis started school, media arrangements were tightly controlled, with only a small royal rotor present for the Cambridge children's first day at Lamarck. Suddenly, the nightmare school run scenario looks rather different when compared with what actually happened around the Wills children. Then came Oprah, and that interview transformed everything into an international spectacle. Meghan discussed her experience inside the institution, her mental health, and conversations surrounding Archie. She also alleged that there had been discussions about how dark her baby's skin might be, and this is where the entire Britain question becomes even more explosive. If Britain was supposedly an intolerable environment, if the press was dangerous, if the country was racist, if school life was expected to become an invasive media circus, and if security was unacceptable, then why return? The contradictions are piling up so quickly that every explanation creates another question. But perhaps the biggest clue is not emotional at all. Perhaps it is financial. The American experiment began with enormous attention and enormous opportunities. Harry and Meghan arrived in California with global recognition and major commercial deals. Netflix, Spotify, podcasts, documentaries, Archie Productions, Harry's memoir, and Meghan's lifestyle projects all seemed to point toward an unstoppable Hollywood empire. But then came the cracks. Spotify ended its reported multi-million-dollar partnership after Meghan's Archetypes podcast produced 1 season and 12 episodes. Netflix brought projects, but not every project became the phenomenon expected. Their Polo documentary did not become the next Tiger King, while other announced projects such as No Way Out, The Wedding Date, and Meet Me at the Lake remained part of a much more complicated picture. And then came Cookie Queens, their first joint feature documentary, which faced an especially humiliating opening weekend when it was reportedly outshone at the US box office by a compilation of internet cat videos. That comparison is brutal because it reduces an enormous celebrity experiment to one devastating question. Did the American dream actually deliver what Harry and Meghan believed it would? Now bring King Charles into the picture. Reports say Charles was informed about the move shortly before it became public. For years, Harry has criticized aspects of the institution, written about family conflicts, discussed William, and exposed private grievances. And now the same man is reportedly preparing to live back in the country where his father is king. Imagine William watching that reversal. 6 years of distance, interviews, a memoir, public accusations, arguments over security, endless discussion about privacy. And now, suddenly, the Sussex family may be coming back. The irony is almost unbearable. Harry has sued British newspapers. Meghan has spoken repeatedly about privacy. Their children have been central to arguments over security and media intrusion. Yet the moment their return becomes public, the entire world is discussing the children, their schooling, their location, and their future. After 6 years of saying we're leaving, the story has become we're coming back. After Britain was presented as dangerous, British schooling is reportedly back on the table. After Harry said he could not see a world in which he brought his family back, that world apparently exists. And so the Sussex story arrives at its strangest chapter yet, the reverse freedom flight.